is going on, everybody? We are back at it again. Long time no see. It's been a little bit. It's been a little bit. But we're back here for the season 3 award show. We got a lot of awards to give out tonight. Should be pretty exciting. Should be pretty exciting. We're gonna be kind of going through. If you were there for the last award show, this one should go a little bit quicker than that one. But yeah, should be a lot of fun. A lot of fun tonight. And yeah, so first off, I guess I got to introduce everyone here. Yeah, my name is Rocker Man, and I am the director of Nemesis and host of tonight's award show. And we've already, apparently, we got a hype train popping off in chat already. 3 subs, yeah, hype train initiated. A couple shout outs to, I guess, myself for the 9 month sub. Fishy with 7 months. Magma also with the 7 months. Much appreciated for that. To kick things off, that's a pretty good start. That's a pretty good start to the award show. But let me introduce everyone here. First off, I got to introduce Merely, my teammate from this past season, and also a big commentator man. Merely, how's it going?
It's going fantastic. Big commentator man guy here. Uh I hope you all had great holidays. Hope you all ate some good food. Got some cool presents if that's a thing that happens. If you celebrate. And yeah, now it's time to get back to the grind, but before we do that, we got to shout out the people from last season. And I'm really excited to do it cuz we got some good awards here today.
Yeah, we do. We definitely do. We definitely do. Shout out to you again, Merely. Gifting the sub in the chat. Much love, Cryptus. There you go. Taking the sub. There you go. That's what we like to see. And also, I'm joined by Blazing Dragon 7, man from Hypernova. Blazing, how's it going?
I'm doing good, dog. Good to be here. Ready to freaking dude. Season 3 was a lot of hype. I'm ready to go over the best moments.
Oh yeah, should be fun. It should be fun for sure. And last but not least, we got Jaegers here. Jaegers, how you doing, man?
I'm Big Chillin' Rocker, man. I'm ready to hand out some rewards and hype for the upcoming season.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Lots of awards to give out tonight. We've got a whole list here. I don't have the entire list to give in chat, but we got a long list to go through here. We're gonna try to go through them pretty quickly, and hopefully give out some good awards. But first, I got to give a couple of shout outs before we get things going. I got to give a huge shout out to Midnight, Kinetic, and Muffin Mateo, who all helped out with the videos for this award show. Every video that you're gonna see, they made. So shout out to them. And yeah, shout out to those guys, and also shout out to Tobatage, who is streaming for us tonight. Definitely came up clutch, just added into the media team. So give some love for Toby here. He's putting a lot of work to make sure everything's set up. With C Money being unavailable tonight, so he's putting a lot of work. So huge shout out to him as well. And yeah, so I think right away you guys can already see it's on the board. We got Underdog of the Season up for our first award. So I guess we're gonna notice right away. We've got a couple of nominees. I'm gonna go through them, and I will toss it over, and we can have each person talk about each one. But Underdog of the Season, our nominees for Underdog of the Season are Acceleration. From the Novice League. We'll explain why Acceleration was an underdog in a second. We have Nebula, who is another underdog, and then Vortex, who's also our third nominee. So let's go down the list. And I don't know who we want to take Vortex. Someone can take Vortex. Who wants to take Vortex here?
I can go ahead and take Vortex. We all love the Chipmunk man. We all want to see him succeed. But going into playoffs, I don't think there were that many people that expected to see Vortex really achieve the same amount of success, making it to the grand finals and putting on a spectacular show along the way, might I add. Really unfortunate that we didn't get to see their upset win against the Panthers as it was done off stream. But I think that has to be in contention for one of the biggest upsets for this entire season. And honestly, the fact that they could even get to the grand finals, take them to the game 7, and come within one goal of winning it all, I mean, that's just an amazing performance from them all around. And I definitely think that they could be deserving of this.
Yeah, definitely. So they actually, before we got to the Titan League, they were the lowest seed in Nemesis history to make the grand finals at 6th seed. We'll talk about Nebula next. Who wants to take this one? Blazing, you want to take Nebula here?
Yeah, I'll take it considering I was GM of there for
Hey,
the very end of it. So Nebula came out really slow this season with a lot of forfeit losses and just overall just looking like they didn't care about it until the latter half where they really focused in and made a huge run, making it all the way to the finals and coming so close to actually winning it all. And as GM, I could be proud of them for such an amazing run towards the end.
yeah, definitely a great run. I knew they were a challenge for my team, Pinnacle, who ended up winning the grand finals for Titan League. And Nebula, you have to give them huge props. No one really expected them to be on such a big of a come up there. And yeah, they actually took Vortex's spot as the lowest seed to ever make a grand finals at 7. So they almost pulled off the upset too over Pinnacle. Couldn't quite though in 6 games. But yeah, they were definitely some big underdogs there. And then we got the last underdog, Jaegers. Maybe you can explain this one, why we wrote Acceleration down as an underdog here, even though they had the best record in the novice league.
Gladly. Well, you see, Acceleration started the season with an almost entirely different roster than whenever they ended it with. They won grand finals and stayed consistently on top with 11, count that, 11 different roster changes.
Yeah,
Absolutely insane.
that is very crazy. That is the main reason why we have Acceleration down as the as a potential nominee for underdog of the season. So many roster changes. You have to give credit to Benji, who put in a lot of work to make sure that that team survived throughout the season. They ended up winning it all. So hey, it worked out for them. So yeah. But without any further ado, I guess we're gonna announce the winner for underdog of the season. And the winner is going to go to Vortex for underdog of the season. They put in a lot of work there, and we talked about it. They upset the Panthers, who everyone thought were just gonna dominate, and then there was the Grave Lords, who they pushed all the way to a game 7, and that was crazy enough to get them the underdog of the season. So congratulations to Vortex for winning underdog of the season. And with that, I think we are going to move right along to our next category, which is most improved player for this season. So let's go through the nominees again. I'll go right down the list again. Merely, why don't you take the first one here?
All right, so first up, we got Magma from the Panthers. Um, and the Panthers, once again, a lot of people consider them to be the second best team going into the playoffs. And I know that Magma was a key component to this, working together with his team. Definitely a very deserving player. I know when the Panthers started the season, they weren't necessarily having the same amount of success, but throughout the season, Magma helped bring their team around to a very, very nice spot in the rival league. And I think a lot of that was due to the way that he was playing.
Yeah, definitely huge improvement from last season, and that's what this is based off. It's not just throughout this season; it's compared to last season. And Magma definitely made some big gains. And how we toss it over to the next one, Blaze? How would you tell us about Chipmunk?
Well, we all know the old chop mink man. Excuse me. Really brought it together towards the end of there. As you can see, his team actually was the underdogs and really came in clutch towards the end of it, making that upset over Panthers and leading to that game 7. And really, it's just I feel like Chipmunk in the background just really pulled his team together and it made such big leaps and bounds as a player to get them to where they got this season.
Yeah, and I think Chipmunk, if I remember correctly, he jumped up a huge amount of MMR from season 2 to season 3 Challenger League. In
That
season
too.
two, I think he was around 1400, and he jumped up to almost 1700. So Chipmunk made some big gains. I know he's been grinding, so he's definitely a solid candidate there. But yeah, we also have one more candidate, who is Muffin Mateo from the Melons. Jaegers, you played in the Prospect League, so you might know a little bit more about Muffin. What can you tell us? What can you tell us about this man?
Okay, so Muffin, the Melons, before Melons got Muffin, like they were good. But once they got Muffin and installed them into their gameplay, it took them to the next level. And like Muffins kind of became Melons kind of became unbeatable at that point.
Yeah, Muffin was definitely a key component for them, and yeah, they ended up winning the grand finals with that roster. So
Pain.
Muffin, pain for Hypernova, unfortunately, and Blazing Dragon, just pain, only
My
pain.
heart.
But hey, he made it to finals at least. But yeah, Muffin, huge player for the Melons, and definitely improved a lot from last season as well. Made some big leaps and bounds in his own game as well. And yeah, we're gonna announce the winner. So winner for most improved player is going to go to Muffin Mateo from the Melons. There, he is your most improved player. So big congrats to him on most improved player. All right, and let's keep her rolling, and we are going to move right along into our play-by-play commentator of the season award. So I guess we all know about the commentators. We don't really have nominees for this one, so we can talk a little bit before we announce who's the official winner. But yeah, does anyone have anything to add about potential play-by-play commentators of the season?
I mean, speaking from personal experience, I have massive respect for people who are like very good at doing play by play after doing play by play. I did quite a bit this season, and it doesn't seem like it's that hard of a task because you're just describing what happens in the game. But a lot of the time, your brain can barely move fast enough to even keep up, and then you have to try and think of ways to keep it going, keep it interesting, and it's really a difficult task. So, definitely a harder task than it seems, and definitely the person who got it, I'd say, is 100% the most deserving.
I
I can agree with that. Oh, go ahead. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. But yeah, I would also agree. I would also agree with this one. Let's go right ahead and throw it out there. The winner for play-by-play commentator of the season is going to go to Cook and Bagels back to back for play-by-play caster of the season. So congratulations to Big Cook and Bagels. Um, much love to him. Play-by-play commentator of the season is in the bag for him.
He's just
And
too goaded.
he's too good. He's too good. You love to see Bagels. Always a fun time with Bagels on the cast. So huge shout out to him. And yeah, we'll move right along to color commentator this season. Uh, and yeah, maybe Jaegers or Blazin. I know you guys both kind of came in as color commentators more so. So maybe you guys could talk about some of the other color commentators you know about and maybe who could be nominated for this one.
For nominees, I'm gonna have to put a Magma, Psycho, and Fishy because all three of those guys they really can strip back the game and really like pinpoint what happened in the play to like really what's the word I'm looking for? Ex- I can't think of the word. Explain how everything's just broken down. So it takes like a lot of brain power, which I do not have, to really explain what's going on and really put on a good analysis.
Well, not only that, but you need kind of like the same, like a base understanding of the game to where you can explain it to other people and be able to understand what's happening at the same time. And yeah, I'd have to agree with that. Also, I'd throw in Merely into that as well. Man's too humble to say it, you know, but he did good as well. And but yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jaegers.
Yeah, I would also throw Murley in there. Definitely a very improved commentator from actually I'd say Murley was a pretty solid commentator from the get go. And we had a lot of solid color commentators, and you guys listed a bunch of them. But the winner for color commentator of the season is going to go to none other than Psychonautic, who came up huge. Definitely a very solid caster this season. I loved working with Psycho as well. He made my job easy a lot of the time, and I know he does that for a lot of play by play. I know he says he's very humble as well. So I know for him to win this, you know, he'll say someone else deserved it, but that's just the type of guy Psycho is. So congrats to Psycho there for color commentator of the season. And yeah, we'll keep her rolling here. right on into commentating duo of the season. That's we got another commentating award. Maybe I'll throw it back to you. Any noticeable duos you can think of throughout the season that maybe I could shout out here?
Yeah, there have been a few. We'll give credit where credit's due. I know you also said this earlier. One of the people on this duo isn't with us anymore, but they were still a very good duo in Sage and Psycho. A couple of uh one of the recognizable duos, I'd say. And there are some duos where you put them together and you just know that it's always gonna be a banger of a cast, and I'd have to say that the people who won this duo award, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised by. Um, and yeah, it was just kind of an easy decision.
Yeah, it was it was an interesting one. I didn't really decide on this one, but yeah, commentating duo of the season. It's gonna go to me and Cook and Bagels. Yeah, usually I would have to agree with Merely. Bagels, obviously, play-by-play commentator of the season. Normally me and Bagels, we work pretty well together, I will say. And I mean, pretty much either of us can do either play-by-play or color, and it was always working well. And Bagels was again a great guy to cast with as well. I got to give a couple of shout outs though to some other commentators. I know Bagels and Fishy did a couple of casts together. I also really like I said, casting with Psycho. I think whenever me and Psycho were on a cast, that usually ended up being pretty solid as well. And I will have to shout out Merely and Bagels was a good one for rivalry grand finals. So there were a couple of really solid ones. I'll be curious to see how it's going to turn out next season. We're always looking for more commentators and or streamers. So we'll see who's going to step up. This is always kind of a fun award. More of a meme award than anything, but a fun one nonetheless. There. So congrats to myself and Cook and Bagels, I guess.
That's
Gotta congratulate myself. Sometimes you got to give props where it's due.
Gotta
but
pat yourself in the back sometimes.
yeah, exactly. But anyways, let's keep it rolling. And move on to our next award of the season, and this one is GM of the season. So this is another very interesting one. I know people have a lot of mixed opinions on this one as who could be the GM of the season. We had a lot of great GMs here with the 5 new leagues. So the nominees for GM of the season are going to be Bagels, who was the GM of Graveyard Shift, otherwise known as Org K, and then we have Skies, who is the GM of Dragon Energy, which was Org A. And then we have Foam, who is the GM of the Chess Hall, which was Org B. Obviously, there's some other good contenders there. You got to give a shout out to Benji, who had a season champion. You also have to give a shout out. I guess I'll shout out myself. I had a season champion, and four of my 5 made the playoffs. But these 3 definitely deserving. Let's start off with Bagels here. And Merely, why don't you take the first one again?
Yeah, I definitely think Bagels would be an easy pick for GM of the season. 2 teams making it to the grand finals. One of those teams winning the grand finals. Um, and even though the race didn't win the grand finals, I mean, they still had an outstanding season. And I believe all all 5 of his teams make playoffs? I think they
Yes,
did.
yes, they
Yes,
did.
okay. And all 5 of his teams made playoffs. I mean, I think that he's definitely his organization is definitely one that could be considered the best organization of this entire season. And yeah, I think for those reasons it could be my pick.
All right, fair enough. Lazen, why don't you tell us about Skies and the Dragon Energy org?
Well, when it comes to Dragon Energy, everyone talks about Graveyard Shift, but who's always there? Dragon Energy, with all 5 of their teams making playoffs. And Drake's the first team in Nemesis history to go undefeated regular season and playoffs, gets the chip. I mean, what more can you ask from your teams?
That's a fair point. Yeah, undefeated for the championship for Challenger League and all 5 teams making playoffs. Definitely another solid contender. And yeah, let's talk about the third one though. Jaegers, what can you tell us about Foam, the GM of the Chess Hall?
Well, the Chess Hall is an interesting organization as a whole because 4 of their 5 teams went 11-5 or better. Absolute great season, and yeah, that's all I can say about that.
Yeah, they 4 or 5 made playoffs. Only one that didn't was the Rooks in the Prospect League, but they had some solid contenders for sure out here. And we talk about Grandmasters; they were looking really solid up to a point. Unfortunately, none of his teams ended up winning it all, but they all gave some valiant fights in the playoffs. The Pawns actually made it to the grand finals. So they were another really solid team of foams there. But yeah, we're gonna go for the GM of the season is going to go to Skies for Dragon Energy. Liquid Skies putting in a lot of work this season. We talked about it. All 5 teams made the playoffs. They were all really, really dominant as well. Dragons were 9-7, Hydra 7-9. The Drakes talked about them 16-0. And first ever undefeated season in Nemesis history, and they ended up winning it all. And then you had Wyverns 10-5, and Whelps were 13-3. They didn't necessarily have the playoff performances as other teams that you would like, but the Drakes, they were kind of his I don't know, the star team of Sky's org there, and they ended up winning it all. So congratulations to Liquid Skies on GM of the season.
And looks like yeah,
Yeah,
Chat might have some differing opinions, but I mean it's hard to argue against him. He was also on the winning team that went undefeated, so I definitely think it was close between them. Could have gone either way, but I think he deserves it.
I think they're just rooting for the other Skies, Org L Skies.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
That's what those L's are for. I'm certain. I'm certain of it. But only one Skies could survive. So it happened to be the one with the Z. So there we go. But yeah, all right. Let's keep it rolling now. And actually, this is the part of the show where we actually have some videos, which is good. Bless up. For this. Unfortunately, we don't have too many nominees for this one, but we do have the winner for save of the season, and this one is a crazy one. So I think we're just gonna have Tobitage roll
just
that
need
clip.
one more play to break through, one more pass, and one more Vortex mistake at the moment.
The Gravelords just completely turning this around, getting all of the pressure, beating Vortex to everything, and Vortex just trying to hold on for the last 2 minutes. I don't know if they can keep doing it. They need to break out and get something happening here. It's overtime, and that might be a goal.
Oh my god, Surf with another clutch save here for Vortex, but again, these double commits, it's all of the offenders here for Vortex.
Yeah, and there you can see the clip there from Zerf. He made that crazy save in Game 7 of the Grand Finals. It was it was a nutty save. You could see he didn't have any boost to work with on the backboard, able to make that save. Unfortunately, Vortex ended up dropping the Grand Finals, but making that save on the goal line, definitely a clutch play coming out from Zerf there.
And I mean, it might not look like the most impressive save mechanically of all time, but considering the circumstances, 2 minutes deep into overtime, Vortex was just backed up against the wall, and the pressure was mounting, and really just staying composed and getting back. Like you said, he had almost no boost to work with as well. Definitely considering the context, I think that's worthy of save of the season.
Yeah, I think that's the big point to think about is the context there. No boost, having to make that save. A lot of the pressure is on the line when it comes to Game 7 Grand Finals. I know Merely was casting that one with Bagels, so I know how intense that was. But I just remember watching that series and seeing that ball going towards the net. You see someone you didn't really even see Zerf until the last minute there with no boost, and to make that save, keep his team alive, especially after what preceded in that one, which actually kind of leads me to right into the next one, which preceded this one for our goal of this season. This was in the same series actually, where this goal happened. Vortex fighting to stay alive, keep their hopes alive, and force a Game 7, and that's when Chaotic JVC hit this shot right here.
Able to clear it away.
This is boring.
Clear up to Chaotic on the backboard. Can he find the touch? He's going to put the shot on the net. Great shot from Chaotic, and we are going to Game 7 Merely.
Chaotic channeling his inner a lot as he gets an insane angle. straight down from off the backboard. What a way to get confidence going into Game 7, and what a shot to keep Vortex in this game. And we're finally getting a Nemesis Game 7 for championship play.
Oh my.
Hey, maybe you can.
Maybe they can. Maybe the chat can say. Maybe they can say bored. But context again. But chaotic. Absolutely huge shot to force the Game 7 where you saw the Zerf save. But I mean, that shot that shot was just insane. I remember watching that one as well.
They could say it's boring, but in their heart, they know they were going wild.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I would yeah, that was that was absolutely insane. So congratulations to Chaotic on the goal of the season, able to force a Game 7 in the grand finals there. So big congrats to him on that one. And we are going to move on to the next one, which is our game of the season here. And I'm beginning to notice a trend here, a little bit of a trend with our save goal and game of the season. But we got to give credit. We got to give credit where it's due. I will say our game of the season is Gravelords versus Vortex, Game 7 of the Grand Finals. I'm throwing it to Mirrorly again for this one. You cast this one, so you can give us the insight about why Game 7 was such an insane game.
Yeah, this was definitely by far my favorite series to cast probably all season. Definitely one of the most interesting and intense games that I've ever casted. After Vortex fought back from what it seemed like they really wouldn't, it was a battle back and forth, not even a high scoring affair. It was mostly defensive, but still there was such intensity. Both teams were battling it out. It went to, I think, at least a 3 or 4 minute overtime, and really with everything on the line, both teams just fighting tooth and nail to try and make anything happen. And when it was all said and done, it was just we couldn't have asked for a better series.
Yeah, that is very true. It was an insane series, and something we talked about earlier with Vortex being the underdog of the season. You know, we didn't really Gravelords were the team that seemed to above everybody else the entire season. Everyone was talking about Gravelords versus Panthers as the grand finals, and for Vortex to even get there to force a Game 7 in the grand finals, they weren't even expected to be there, let alone get to a Game 7 overtime with that much on the line, so much pressure there, and almost able to pull it off. The Gravelords, they did end up winning the grand finals, but another insane game there. And yeah, game of the season goes to Gravelords versus Vortex, Game 7 grand finals for Rival League. And yeah, now we get to move right along. This award show, I already noticed it's going way quicker than last season, which I'm kind of liking, because we're already into our finals MVPs and then regular season MVPs. So we're going to kick it off with our finals MVP for the Novice League. Remember this matchup, Acceleration versus Pawns in the grand finals, where Acceleration ended up taking the victory for the Novice League. So this player for Acceleration definitely popped off, and he was actually one of the only people who was on this Acceleration roster. We talked about the 11 rosters changes, but he was actually one of the only people who was on the roster for the entire season. And the finals MVP for the Novice League is going to go to Milk from Acceleration. And yeah, let's roll that video. All right, so there you see it from definitely big congratulations to him on the finals MVP, and big congrats to Acceleration, who pulled off the grand finals victory. So congrats to them. And yeah, anyone have anything they want to add about Milk?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he was the only person who stayed on the roster through 11 roster changes. Man has seen generations come and go, but he stayed and he took acceleration to the grand finals win. I mean, I can't think of anyone who would be more deserving in novice for this. Or well, okay, for the finals, I guess.
For finals, yes. It was a limited pool, but he definitely popped off when it came to it. So big congratulations to Milk. And yeah, let's head on to the regular season MVP for the Novice League. Um, and we have a couple of nominees for this one. And coincidentally enough, they all start with a C. We got Cardboard Box from the Whelps. We have Chillin from the Wisps, and we have Cosme from Acceleration on this one. And yeah, so now before we announce the winner here, I want to hear you guys' predictions on regular season MVP. So let's start with Blaze here. Who do you think's gonna take home this award?
I think Chillin's going to take it out, being pretty good friends with him, and I've just seen the improvement from last season to season 3, and he's just came in so many clutch times for his team and really made an impact on on the field. I can see it. I played with him not too long ago. He did really good, and I just think he deserves it from all the hard work he's put in.
All right, fair enough. Merely, who are you thinking for this one?
Tough to say. I definitely think that Cosme would be a hot pick here. Kind of coming into the acceleration roster in the middle of the season, helping out Milk and the other rotating sea of players, to keep the season going and kind of help the team maintain the stability that led to them ultimately getting that grand finals victory. So out of these players, I definitely think he could be a contender. Probably my pick.
All right, Jaegers.
I'm going to go with Cardboard. Like, to say that Cardboard was good this season is an understatement. Very mechanical player and an absolute unit whenever it comes to scoring.
Yeah, and he was on the Whelps there as well. A very solid pick. A lot of solid picks. All these teams made playoffs. Acceleration and Cosme ended up winning it all. The Whelps, they were a really solid team. Unfortunately, lost in playoffs, and the Wisps were definitely a solid team. I know Chillin was on that roster the entire time. But the winner for Novice League MVP of the regular season is going to go to Cardboard Box. Let's roll that video. All right, so there you have it. Cardboard Box, the winner of the regular season MVP for the Novice League. Definitely well deserved for that one.
Can't agree more with that. If I'm not mistaken, he had 2 of the Player of the Weeks from season 3, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. I believe you're correct with
Yes,
that.
he did 2 in a row, I believe.
Dang. I got to agree with Jaegers, man. He was just an absolute unit of a player. What a guy.
Yeah, definitely well deserved here for Cardboard Box. He was dominant pretty much all season. Unfortunately, the Whelps couldn't pull it off, but this is a regular season award, so big congratulations to Cardboard Box, who is the MVP for the Novice League. And that's going to send us right on now to the Prospect League. We're going to head to the finals of the Prospect League. And I think Blaze, I think you got Blaze and Dragon. I think you got something to say here about who you think could be the finals MVP for Prospect.
For me, it has to be Muffin Mateo. Not only most improved player, and me personally losing to him in the finals, he just really showed up there and just really popped off there. And I can say for certain he was one of the big reasons why we lost.
Yeah, definitely that roster. Muffin Mateo, JD, and Kinetic, who were the three players on the Melons who all did really good in the finals, taking down Hypernova in the grand finals in a sweep, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was a sweep, right? Not to rub it in the wounds. I'm just making sure that I was right.
Unfortunately, that
Oh.
is true.
Unfortunately so. But I mean, the Melons, they really popped off, and the 4-0 sweep there, definitely a crazy series. But the finals MVP for the Prospect League is going to go to Kinetic. Let's roll that clip. All right, and there you have it. Kinetic, the finals MVP for the Prospect League. Big congratulations to him. Definitely well deserved. He really popped off in that grand finals, and it was a tough decision, but Kinetic, he's going to take home the finals MVP for the Prospect League. And yeah, big congratulations to him. And we'll move right along now as we go to the regular season for the Prospect League, and we got a couple of great nominees in this one as well. One of the people you just saw, we saw Kinetic from the Melons. He is the nominee for regular season MVP. We also have Regret from Hypernova as one of the nominees, and then Green Glow from Vipers, who is the final nominee for the Prospect League. So let's go down the list again while chat ponders who they think is going to win. Let's go down the list, starting with Blaze. Who do you got in this one for Prospect League regular season MVP?
I have to go with my boy Regret. I've been teammates with this man for 2 seasons now, back to back, and I can say without a doubt that he puts in the time, he puts in the work to play at a high level every single game. And it really shows in his gameplay. Everyone around the league knows who he is. Without a doubt, I have to go with Regret.
Definitely a solid shout for Regret there. Jaegers, who do you got in this one?
I'm gonna have to say Green Glow. Very mechanical player who's cracked on the sticks and was skilled enough to help out his org's challenger team at times. Has been known to beat a few Titan players in ones too, I hear.
Yeah, that is the rumors. I can confirm that did happen. But he's definitely a solid player as well. Merely, who are you thinking for this one?
Yeah, I think I'm actually going to have to agree with Jaegers here. Um, I don't really think the Vipers' performance through in the playoffs at least really reflected how well they kind of played as a team for most of the season. And Gringlow is just absolutely cracked. I mean, the man has kept up in lobbies way above what his MMR would suggest, and he showed me that the skill gap between the highest prospect players and challenger actually might not be as big as you think it is. And yeah, he's just absolutely cracked.
Definitely another great player and a good shout out there for the MVP for the regular season. So we got Kinetic, Regret, and Green Glow are the nominees, and the winner for Prospect League MVP is going to go to Regret, back to back MVPs. Let's roll that video. All right, and there you have it. Regret, the MVP for regular season for Prospect League. Definitely big congrats, Blazin. Maybe you got some kind words for your good friend Regret there about his performance this season.
Back to back, baby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Back to
Hey,
back.
congrats on me. Glad I can play with you some more.
Yes,
On my
sir.
fifth.
Congrats to Regret. Back to back MVPs for the Prospect League. I'll be curious to see what Regret can do going forward here as he moves on. Maybe moving up to Challenger potentially. We'll have to see. But moving right along with the show, we are now heading to the Finals MVP for the Challenger League. And yeah, merely maybe you want to take the intro for this one.
Yeah, sure. It was kind of a dominating performance from the Drakes all around, reflective of their entire season. Um, and I mean, all three players really put up a big fight. Biscuit, Logie, and Skies all coming out, putting in work. A dominating team performance. So I think this is kind of a difficult decision. But there was definitely one player who kind of stepped up, showed his competitive prowess, and and showed why he's a back-to-back winner. Um,
Yeah, and
yeah,
the back-to-back winner is going to go to Blazin Biscuit here. Congratulations to him. Let's roll that video. All right, so there you have it. Blazin Biscuit is your Challenger League Finals MVP. I would have to say definitely a well-deserved award. The man he's just different when it comes to the grand finals. When it comes to these awards, he just goes off and he steps up when you needed him most. And I know in the grand finals, he really went off for his team, and he was definitely a big reason why they were undefeated and why they ended up pulling off probably the I don't know, that might have been the biggest surprise of the season for me, which is that 4-0 sweep where they actually swept the race there in the grand finals. That was a crazy performance from him, and I will have to say well deserved to Blazing Biscuit for the finals MVP.
most definitely.
So congratulations to Biscuit, and let's head to our MVP for the regular season of the Challenger League this time. So we got a couple of solid contenders. We again have the man himself. We just talked about him, Blazing Biscuit from the Drakes. Definitely a huge season coming up from him. Averaged 1.15 goals per game, zero point 0.6 assists, 1.46 saves throughout the season. We also have Kovalchuk, who might surprise a lot of people, but Kovalchuk was a very solid player for the Bishops this season. 1.34 goals per game, the highest of our three nominees. Also had 1.40 saves, shooting 38% from the field. So he was definitely another solid player. And then finally, we have Little Big Jordan from the race here, who also almost pulled off the one goal assist and save average on the season. He was really close, only 0.12 assists off. He was at 0.88 assists for the season. Otherwise, he could have pulled the triple one there. Also shooting 34.4%, same as Biscuit there. Definitely a solid performer for the race there. So let's bring it around again to each of you guys. This time let's start with Merely here. Merely, who do you think is going to take home regular season MVP for the Challenger League?
Well, it's really hard to argue against Biscuit. Uh, but that's what I'm gonna do anyways for this MVP. I really do think that although Biscuit, they got the undefeated season, they won finals. I'd argue that that was the Drakes as a whole giving it their all. And even though Biscuit is an outstanding player, I really think that the person who made the most difference on their own team and on the entire league was Little Big Jordan. Because even though they lost in the grand finals, they had an outstanding season, and I really think most of that was due to Little Big Jordan just absolutely popping off. game after game, series after series. And honestly, because of him playing in the Challenger League myself, he made the Race one of the scariest teams to face. I mean, I remember the first game of our season we played the Race, and I was just absolutely blown away by how mechanical and how dominant of a player he was. Um, so I'd have to give it to him personally.
All right, Jaegers, who do you got for this one?
You know, Mila, I'm gonna have to agree with you. It is hard to argue for anyone other than Biscuit, so that's why I'm not going to. I'm gonna have to go with Biscuit for MVP, best player on the team that not only won the chip but went 19-0 in the process. Kovalchuk and Lil Big Jordan had great seasons in their own right, but I'll be surprised if anyone other than Biscuit wins it.
All right, fair shout there, Blaze. What do you think on this one?
I'm gonna have to agree with the Jaegers here. Biscuit, an absolute monster on the pitch, despite how much Little Big Jordan is like one of my favorite challenger players to watch. I have to go with Biscuit, man. Just an absolute monster on the pitch. It's so hard to pick an MVP because just how monstrous Biscuit was. Not to take away from Kovalchuk or Jordan because they're both monsters in their own respect, but I have to go with Biscuit.
All right, so yeah, I do gotta give a big shout out to Kovalchuk here on this one. No one picked him here, but like I said, Kovalchuk out of our contenders here, I'd argue he almost had the best stats here. Unfortunately, the Bishops weren't as great. I know Kovalchuk, the other stuff he's put in a lot of work as the captain, making sure his team was preparing as much as they could. Like I said, 1.3 goals per game and 38% shooting is nothing to shy away from. So I gotta give a quick shout out to him. But the winner for Challenger League MVP is going to go to Little Big Jordan from the Race. He had a huge season for the Race, and like Merely was saying, he had a huge impact on how good the Race were, and I think he was probably the reason, one of the reasons why the Race even made it to grand finals. Obviously, you have the Drakes. Biscuit was definitely, arguably the best player on the Drakes. But Loki and Skies really performed when they were needed. So I think that could have potentially taken away a little bit from the Drakes and from Biscuit's chances. But Little Big Jordan, congratulations to him. He is the MVP for the Challenger League. And we will move right along then. So big congrats to him. Let's move on to the finals MVP for the Rival League. And this one, we talked about this series already a couple times, where where it was Gravelords versus Vortex. This crazy series went all the way to Game 7 overtime, where the Gravelords ended up taking the series, and definitely a couple of great performances out of this team. We had Tanis, who was one of the players on the Gravelords. We also had Astronistic, who was one of the other players on the Gravelords. And I'm blanking on the third. I don't have it written down. Someone's gonna have to remind me in the chat. But yeah, definitely solid performance from the Gravelords. Now I feel bad. Now I feel bad for missing the third. So I gotta go look. Knight, the captain, Knight is the captain, who is also there in the finals. Gravelords, number one seed, and they ended up winning it all. So a huge performance from them. But the finals MVP for the Rival League is going to go to Tanis. Let's roll that video. All right, so there you have Thomas, the Rival League Finals MVP. He ended up taking it home. Big congrats to him on that one. Definitely huge performance from him in the grand finals. He led his team to the victory. So got to give credit where it's due. Big congrats to Thomas. And with that, we'll move on to the rival league, where we're gonna have the regular season MVP for this one. So let's kick things off here for rival league with our three nominees. First off on the list, we have Ducky FPS from the Kings. This man, definitely a solid shout. The Kings had a really good regular season, and Ducky was the man for their team. 1.13 goals per game, 1.26 saves per game, shooting around 34% as well. So he's the first nominee there. And we have Fish Rule Soy, who was probably the carry of a rival. I will have to say, considering a rival was one of my orgs. 1.2 goals per game, 1.43 saves per game as well. Also, two-time player of the week for Fish Rule Soy. And then last but not least, we have Killer Knight from the Panthers, who was another a really solid team. The Panthers, definitely a great performance from them in the regular season. And Killer Knight, he definitely popped off as well. 1.13 goals, 1.4 saves, and 35%, and three-time Player of the Week for Killer Knight. So those are your nominees for regular season MVP for the rival league. Let's bring it around the table again. Let's start with Blaze. Blaze, who do you got in this one?
I will have to go with the meme team man himself, Ducky. As someone who's played against him while he was drunk on stream, and I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, merely you were part of the casting team for that one. He is an absolute impact player and just such a presence on the pitch. You really can see all the time he's put in for the Kings, and is just a fantastic player.
Definitely, probably the man for the Kings for sure, and the big reason why they were able to challenge for that division lead and able to do well heading into the playoffs. So I'll head to Merely now. Merely, who do you got out of these three contenders?
This is actually a very difficult decision for me. Because well, I've played with I know these are all phenomenal players. First of all, I've played with Fish in one series actually, and he is just a phenomenal player. We played I mean, we got swept because I was on the team, but he somehow helped us stay in the game, and he has a really good mentality when he plays, I think, and he's a really good player. But honestly, I think that I'd have to go with Killer Knight. I think that he's one of the most slept on players in Rival this season. And if it weren't for the upset to Vortex, I think Panthers would have been in hot contention to maybe take the grand finals, and I think a lot of that would have been due to Killer Knight, who's always been a solid player and always been a factor whenever he's on the field.
It definitely a solid show. Killer Knight, three-time Player of the Week for the Panthers. There, huge performances throughout the season, leading his team to the playoffs. And let's head over to Jaegers now. Jaegers, who do you got out of these three?
I really hate to do this, but I'm gonna have to stay in my own org and go with Fish Rules. It's a cracked player and up the rivals' win percentage a little bit from last year.
It's just a little bit. Just a little bit of rival. 1-17 last season, 8-8 this season. But he definitely led them to the playoffs, and yeah, definitely a great player there for a rival. And yeah, so the winner for MVP for the rival league is going to go to Fish Rule Soy. He is going to take home the MVP for the regular season. Definitely, I know considering he was in my org, I didn't get to vote on this, but he definitely popped off, and I can guarantee you, without Fish on the roster, a rival might not have won a series this season. I don't know. He was a hard carry. They would have won a couple series, but he was definitely an amazing player. And the stats were really solid for him as well. It was really close though. I will say this was probably the one that as a management team we debated the most between all three of these. Besides Titan, Titan was a lot to even just get the contenders, but between these three contenders, Killer Knight, Fisher Rosoy, and Ducky FPS, it was a toss up. I think all three of these players were well deserving. And it could have been anyone. But yeah, congrats to Fish on the regular season MVP. And we will move right along now as we head into the finals MVP for the getting near the end of our show here. We've only got Titan left, and then we have to reveal the all teams for all of our leagues, and then do a little bit of a preview. But let's move on to finals MVP for the Titan League, where we saw Pinnacle taking home the grand finals victory with Yokes, Nando, and Caden on the roster. So, Mirly, why don't you take the intro again?
Yeah, so I mean, for this finals MVP, it's someone that I mean is gonna kind of give it away, but we never really saw it coming from the get go. He only came into the league right before playoffs, kind of showed up out of nowhere, but also I think was the transaction of the season as he just came in and absolutely started clapping. Only played one game of the regular season before playoffs, and then helped the team get all the way through the bracket and eventually win in the grand finals fairly comfortably. And of course, that makes it obvious who it is. But yeah, the finals MVP will be Nando, and I think it's well deserved.
Definitely well deserved. Let's roll that clip. All right, so there you have it. A little bit of an interesting song choice, but Nando taking home the victory there. Congratulations to him on the finals MVP. Definitely well deserved. I will have to say Nando, he came up huge for Pinnacle, coming in for Zenith at the very end of the season. Actually only played in one game before the playoffs. That's all the time they had to warm up before playoffs. And Nando, huge performance from him in the grand finals. Definitely helped Pinnacle take home the championship. So I couldn't be prouder of my team. So Nando, well deserved there as finals MVP. And yeah, let's get into I guess it's our second to last award of the night. We have to reveal the all teams, the all league teams, but we got Titan League regular season MVPs to give out here. So let's get right into it here. So, nominees for Titan League regular season MVP. First off, we have Dylan from Gravity here. He was a huge performer throughout the regular season. I will have to say before I continue on with this was the toughest time we had narrowing it down to three. There were so many people that we had to go through. I think there were a lot of well-deserving Titan players for the regular season, but this was the toughest time we had narrowing it down to three for sure. But Dylan from Gravity is our first nominee. He definitely a solid performance from him throughout the season. 0.88 goals per game, 0.163 saves per game. Definitely huge numbers from him. Also, we have four beast from Venganza. Another huge season from him. He was a big player last season for the Titan League. Finals MVP last season was four beast. 1.17 goals per game and 1.56 saves per game on this one. Also shooting 29%, which in Titan is pretty solid considering the defense and how hard it is to score goals at times. And then last but not least, the third nominee is going to be Yokes from Pinnacle there, averaging just about a goal per game and 1.77 saves per game. Man was a defensive wall there, also shooting about the same as Dylan on this one. And yeah, let's bring it around the table here to see who each person thinks is going to win. Let's start with Mirly here. Mirly, who do you got in this one?
Yeah, once again, this is not at all an easy choice to make. I think I'm gonna have to go personally with Yokes, as he was on the champions team in the end, and he was kind of the rock for Pinnacle throughout this whole season. They didn't really have the most promising start or really the same indication that a lot of the other champions had, that they would just be dominant. The Titan League itself was so turbulent and so competitive, but Yoke stayed consistent, and he stayed on that team, continued to perform, and all of his hard work eventually paid off.
Yeah, definitely able to win out the championship there. Did Yokes, so he's definitely a solid shout there. Let's go over to Jaegers. Jaegers, who do you got in this one?
Rockman, I'm going to have to go with 4 Monster. 54 goals in 46 games played. That's hard to do in any league. And this man did it at the highest level. And he's one of the few players in Titan League with a 2,000 overall MMR.
Yeah, definitely a solid player. I will say that. Last but not least, let's head to Blaze. Who do you got in this one, Blaze?
Listen, no disrespect to any of these players, but for me personally, I have to go with Yokes. The man is absolutely cracked out of his mind. Nearly 80 saves throughout the entire season. Just an absolute beast and knocking my Titan team out of the playoffs. And just I can't. Yokes is literally one of my favorite Titan players right now. And just an absolute beast.
Yeah, definitely a huge player there, for sure. And I've seen him around on my team as well. And I will have to say he was the man. He's been on the roster pretty much the entire season, and he's stepped up big when Pinnacle has needed it. So he was a huge player, and yeah, like you talked about, had the out of these three had the highest average saves per game at 1.77. So the man was a brick wall when it came to defense. That's where he really stepped up, and I think that was another big reason why Pinnacle was able to take home the championship. But the winner of the MVP for the Titan League is going to go to 4 Monster, as they call him. Big congratulations to 4. Let's roll the video. All right, so there you have it. Four beasts taking home the Titan League regular season MVP. Again, another close series there, or another close award, I would say, between those three, and to even determine it down to the nominees. But four beasts, definitely a reason why Venganza was able to challenge for that playoff spot, and why they were able to get into the playoffs there. So big congrats to 4 Titan League final or Titan League MVP for the regular season. Definitely well deserved. I will have to say.
Mr. Day 3 himself, big deserved it.
Definitely so. So we got a couple final things before we end off the stream for tonight. First, I'm gonna go through a quick season 4 preview, just a couple of dates, and then I'm gonna reveal the all teams for all the leagues. So first team all novice, second team all novice, etc. But first, looking at the season 4 preview, the season 4 interest form closes on Monday the 4th. So if you haven't filled out an interest form, I don't know what you're doing. Get to it. I'll have to message people again. No, I messaged a bunch of people. So if you haven't filled out your interest form, make sure you do it. I'm posting it in the chat there for you guys. So make sure you get that in. That is due Monday the 4th. So make sure you guys get those interest forms in. Also, season 4 format is released on Wednesday the 6th after that. So make sure you guys get that in so we can make the format and release that. And then you guys can check out the other dates, some other interesting dates. We have the drafts for the Novice and Prospect League on Wednesday the 13th. And then on the 14th, we have Challenger, Rival, and Titan drafts. And then the opening tournament, season 4 opening tournament on Sunday the 17th. And then season 4 opening day on the 18th. So be ready for that. Should be a lot of fun to get that going. But also, if you guys can see it on the stream, I got a new thank you for watching screen at the very end. Shout out myself for that. But I think it came out well. But you guys can see on the left side there, next stream to watch out for. We have the novice tournament. We got the clash going down. I know everyone is pretty hyped for that. So Bagels is doing a lot of work to get that all set up. So we got the novice tournament at 7 p.m. Eastern on Monday, and then a prospect tournament is at 8 p.m. Eastern on Monday, and then show matches will be on Wednesday. Then novice show match at 8, prospect show match at 9. So those will be interesting. I know a lot of people are hyped for that, so stay tuned. Stay tuned for those. And yeah, last but not least, let's go through the first teams for all these leagues, and the second teams for all the leagues. So, first teams, basically, these ones are pretty self-explanatory. They are all the MVP nominees. So, novice league first team is Cardboard Box, Cosme, and Chillin. Prospect first team, Kinetic, Regret, and Greenglow. Challenger first team, Little Big Jordan, Kovalchuk, and Biscuit. And then rival first team is Killer Knight, Fish Roll Soy, and Ducky FPS. And then Titan first team is 4, Yokes, and Dylan. So you guys already knew about those. So now we get to the interesting part, the second teams. So starting in the novice league second team all novice is going to go to Smooth, Luis Baggins, and Grab. Definitely 3 solid players there. Heading to prospect league, the second team all prospect goes to Muffin Mateo, Ready, and C Money for second team all prospect. And then heading over to second team all challenger, we got Logie, Merely, and Case. Shout out Merely here in the call.
Hey, yo.
Second team all challenger for him, and Logie and Case as well. And then heading to rival league second team, we have Astro, Bubs, and Magma on second team all rival. And then rounding out the list here for second team all Titan, we have Brandon, Rec, and Ween for second team all Titan. So that's all we got for you guys tonight. Do you guys have any final words before we end things off for the night?
The grind continues.
Like,
The grind continues.
You got me off guard with that one. I don't know how to respond to that.
The grind continues. That's all you need to know. But yeah, it's been a good night. Congrats to everyone who pulled out some awards tonight. It's been a lot of fun. Season 3, it was an interesting season to say the least. But season 4 should be a lot of fun. So make sure you guys tell your friends, get them signed up. We're trying to recruit a bunch of people for season 4. You've already got a good amount signed up for season 4. A lot of things to come for Nemesis season 4. So make sure you guys are following the channel. Make sure you guys are joining the Discord. You can see the link on the top left there for all of our socials as well. You can check it out. Next time we will be back is Monday for that novice tournament. The start of the clash for the off season should be exciting. I know Bagels done a lot of work to get that all set up, so it should be a lot of fun. Signups for the clash tournament will be up soon, probably announced sometime tomorrow. So stay tuned. Look out for that if you're a novice or prospect, and then the other leagues, they will be announced soon as well. So yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for tonight. But thank you guys for watching, and we will talk to you guys later.